Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 13th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. We are here for our third Lee School Committee meeting of the evening. We are continuing to be in a virtual meeting per Governor Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law C-30A, Section 20. This meeting will take place in a hybrid fashion, both virtually via Zoom or in person for those committee members and attendees choosing to access in either manner. I am calling this meeting to order pursuant to Mass General Law C-30A Section 20. I'm hereby informing all attendees that a video and audio recording is being made of the meeting. Brenda, can you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Robin?
Here.
Mrs. Cooper?
Here.
Ms. Kashur?
Here.
Ms. Larman?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
And Ms. Strickland?
Here. Thank you. All right, our first item on our agenda is the approval of the May 9th, 2023 Lee School Committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move to accept the school committee minutes from May 9th.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Kashur?
Yes.
Ms. Larman?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
And Ms. Strickland?
Yes.
Thank you. Next up, we have public input with Kirk Nichols.
So members of the public are invited to address the committee, at this time, issues raised will normally be referred to the administration or a subcommittee of the school committee.
I think that you only have one member of the public in the audience.
Madam Chair, we have no public input, but do we need to address the wording of the public input section on the meeting of the agenda? Just a question.
What's your question?
Do we need, because of the change in the law that just came out?
We took the time limit off.
Okay,
That's it.
okay, never mind. We're good.
That was the only thing we needed to remove and we took it off.
It's not a policy. It's not written in policy that way. So it is
Sure.
simply that there needs to be public input. So this is simply a matter of agenda setting. So it doesn't need any additional vote.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
All right, next thing on our agenda is reports. There is no chairperson report because until 5:15 today, we did not have a chairperson because today was reorganization day, so there is no chairperson report. We do not have a student representative report, I believe. Do we have a student representative there? I don't think so, correct? No. So next up, we have our superintendent's update with Michael Richard.
All right. Whoa. That's the button I want. All right. So I will be efficient with my time and yours this evening. Not too much to report on, but the first thing is actually relatively important, and that's an enrollment update. And there hasn't been any significant trends this year to report on, but I do need the committee to be aware of what this looks like as we move forward into the 2023-2024 school year. We have had some students moving out of district that at various grade levels that have had slight impacts to our enrollment figures. It is common in the county. I have polled my colleagues to see if they're seeing the similar things. I haven't heard back from all of them, but the early answers are yes. This is a common factor by surrounding districts in Berkshire County right now. The most important thing is this low enrollment in grades K, 2, 3, 4, and 10 next year. And you can see where we are right now. Next year, we've got 40 students enrolled in kindergarten. The problem with that number is that includes both our school choice students that are expected to enroll, as well as a number of students who are being held back in kindergarten next year. So that is a very small class. If you look at grades 2 next year, there's 38 students. Grades 3, 41 students. Grades 4, 43 students. And grade 10, 38 students. This is concerning to me as a school leader, should be concerning to us as a district. I know that we've had some discussions about this. How can we work differently? I can't say harder because I believe we are working harder to attract families to the Lee Public Schools. But if this trend continues, we are going to be in dire straits, especially as those small classes rise up into the middle and high school where it becomes more challenging to meet their needs. But I will tell you very honestly that next year's grade 2 at 38 kids, I'm going to have to make some difficult decisions. I think we are going to have to make some difficult decisions about staffing and whether that warrants 3 classrooms of 13 kids apiece, or whether we need to look at 2 classrooms of 19. I know that low class sizes, and I've had this conversation with members of the committee, low class sizes are draw for school choice. But if we don't have the school choice coming in, I think we have to make some difficult decisions. We're not ready to do that yet, but I can tell you that Principal Martinuk has had conversations with his staff to put them on notice of where we are. And I'll continue to work with Principal Martinuk, particularly, as well as the LEA, to try to identify how to best use our personnel to meet the needs of students. But I need this committee to be aware of these challenges because they are real, and they're unless something changes, they're going to be with us for a while. So I don't want to dwell on it, but I need you to be aware of it. And I welcome any questions, comments, concerns, ideas that members of the committee or the community have about what we can do, again, differently. We are working hard to try to attract new families and students into our schools. I defer to Chair Larman about how she wants. You want to take questions as we go, or do you want to wait until the end?
Questions at the end.
Okay. That's all right. You're good. Oh, sorry, I skipped. Congratulations to the class of 2023. Commencement was a great success. Thank you to Principal Briganti for all of his work. Thank you to the class advisors, Mr. Salinetti and Mrs. Naventi, and guiding our seniors across the finish line. Thank you to the team of custodians from the maintenance department for making sure that everything was set up and working perfectly on that day. It was a great success. Here, just in front of you, are the list of schools, and it may not be 100% comprehensive, although I believe it's pretty close, of where our students are going next year. That doesn't include the workforce in some of the armed forces that students may be pursuing, but a nice sampling of colleges, universities, and trade schools will they'll be attending to further their educations. This is just a quick note that cell phones in schools, and I bring this to your attention because it's on DESE's radar across the Commonwealth about the impact of electronics on student learning, student focus, and I'm looking for some guidance from them. Our handbooks will be reviewed over the summer. That's been brought to our attention in the past, and we're going to make some changes to handbook language to present to you in August. But it is a conversation that's happening at the state level, and the commissioner's talking about making funding available to districts across the state to look at Yonder pouches as an example. I don't know that I'm there yet about that, but I do know that as a district, we need to be aware of it. We need to manage it, and we need to make sure that we're setting students up for success. We all know that putting a cell phone in a student's hand is part of life these days. So we've got to figure out what the balance is between how it's being used, when it's being used, and to what ends they're accessing technology during the school day. Strategic plan update. We've got 4 priorities: curriculum, wellness, technology, and district organization. We've made some headway in most of those areas. HMH into math and HMH reading have been acquired. And we We're figuring out ways to spend $36,000 over the summer to work on implementation of math or further implementation of math. And we got notified this morning that there's another $87,000 that may be available to us for implementation during school year 23-24. I got to be honest with the committee, it's a lot of money and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to spend it, but it's good. It's a good problem to have for us to explore ways to do it. We spoke with Mariah Carrington from Mount Holyoke College this morning. She's putting together proposals for us for both summer PD and school year PD that we'll be able to make available to staff K to 10 to help them with math implementation. We also are having teachers sign up at their leisure for a book study group being facilitated by one of our partners, and that is around building thinking classrooms for mathematics. So we're working hard on that, and we're also exploring ways to make sure that the implementation and rollout of into reading and into literature is successful in the fall. At the wellness level, we had lots of speakers come in this year, so we were appreciative of that. I think the kids were entertained and engaged, and extended day and extended school year initiatives have not started yet. So that's one of the goals, but aside from expressive arts, we haven't been able to make too many gains in that regard. Technology, we've got purchases made using ESSER funds to extend the lifespan of our inventory. We do still need to address how we are going to maintain sustainability of that technology. And then there was no work done on district organization. I feel like that's a big project. And as we look at classroom, grade level sizes, that's going to come into play around how we organize our schools, whether we're going to go pre-K to 5 and a 6 to 12, or whether there's another option that we need to explore. And sorry. Oop. And then quick note, congratulations, we've got 3 retirees that'll, their last day, formally or informally, will be Thursday. So thank you to Kathy Cox, Kathy DeVarens, and Kim Shook for their combined 77 years of service to the Lee Public Schools. That's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of students' lives who were positively impacted by their presence in our schools each and every day. So thank you, Kathy, and Kim, for all of your work. And that marks the end of my report. So I'm happy to answer any questions that any committee members may have.
I have a question about the numbers. So like looking at like the census of the town, is that like comparable to how many kids we have in that age group? Or are we losing kids to school choice, or is it even out?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we're taking in more school choice students than we're losing.
Okay.
And the numbers of students in those lower grades based on live birth data is pretty reflective of the census.
Okay. And when people leave by school choice, you guys might already know this, I don't know, or like you hear that they're leaving, is there ever any like survey done or like questioning done as to why, or is that like something that can be done, or?
It can be sometimes, oftentimes they're leaving before they ever get to us.
Right.
But in the instance when they're leaving later, oftentimes they're not choicing out later, they're moving later. There are some students, I would suggest, and I would look to Mr. Briganti to tell me if I'm wrong, but when they kind of hit middle in high school, if they make changes, then oftentimes it's based on a social emotional issue, oftentimes about whether they feel like this is the right place for them.
Okay.
But if it's okay, Andrea, if I could ask Greg to weigh in on that.
So when we have students, you let us know if we do talk to them and their parents and try to get some feedback. And a lot of times it happens when we don't even know, and we'll get a form from the new school. We fill out the enroll to reach out that time and time. So we do attempt to do that when we're able to get some feedback on that. Superintendent Richard, I think, is correct. A lot of it has to do with social and emotional things at this level.
Mhm.
But, you know, there's a variety of concerns that people have, and sometimes it's just the need or desire to have a touch point somewhere else, and that's true for the kids that come to us as well.
Mhm.
There's a variety of reasons.
To borrow from some faculty members even this year who are looking to explore opportunities in other districts. Sometimes it's change. I just need change to be successful. And so we want to be as supportive as we can. And again, it's can we be creative in ways to attract new and greater numbers of students by way of choice. But again, the phrase you've heard from me over and over again is we cannibalize each other in the Berkshires. So each district is we're stealing from each other to try to be sustainable.
I have 3 questions. I think they're easy ones, but one, could you for next school committee meeting kind of break down the school choice, that chart that you have, and kind of some of the school choice numbers of how many are coming and going?
Oh, sure. You just want to know the ins and the outs. Yep.
Kind of,
We're
how does it
positive
work?
about 40 kids.
okay, yeah, I just think it would be nice
Yep.
to break down.
Sure.
The second one is, you mentioned some of the kids who are being held back this year. Is that a greater number than previous years around, especially around the kindergarten? And is any of this COVID related, or can we stop talking about the impact of COVID yet?
I'd look to Principal Mertnook to give you the more specifics without student specific, but I guess
not
generalities, right?
specific, but general.
So it's not uncommon for us to retain 1, sometimes 2 students in learn for a variety of reasons. A lot of times students are very young when they come in and maturity just doesn't match where their peers are.
Mhm.
So it's common for us to say, hey, second, we can go and do good fit in those particular students. This year we just had higher than average number of students who, for whatever reason, potentially just.
Thank you. And then my third, which is related to a separate part of your report, is can any of that $87,000 potential funding source be used to promote and recruit school choice by way of promoting the thinking classrooms for math and rolling into? Okay.
No, it's very specific. The state, it is about implementation of high quality instructional materials.
Right.
So it is
And we
all,
can't use any of it to tout the awesome fabulousness
I
of
call it.
promoting the high quality.
No. but I appreciate the question.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I just have 2 real quick ones. So my first one was the same that Heidi asked. So that one's done. Check. I was wondering about the enrollment and where exactly they were going and why. The second question is along the PD lines. What Betsy just started to talk about, that money. So I just want to make sure. So there's going to be a book study, and then we're partnering with that college. Can any of that money, or will any of that money be used for PD through the vendors, like with the reps from HMH for the teachers? Will they?
We have an agreement with HMH for some coaching sessions and some other professional development as part of the package that we bought. We've been using that, those allotments of time so far. But yes, there is very little limitation as far as what professional development can be offered, what stipends can be paid, and the like to staff to participate. So again, we're looking to contract with Mount Holyoke so that they can provide some PD. We're working with HMH. We've asked for a different contact person at HMH whom we hope will be more responsive to us. The partner that DESE assigned to us for this math implementation is also on our side on that and trying to get HMH to be a little bit more responsive. It's not that they haven't been answering us. It's been a little more of a struggle than we think it should be. So we're hoping to be able to offer, again, coaching, some individual sessions, the book study, Mount Holyoke, and that's the Mount Holyoke plan. Looks like it'll be a combination of coursework at Mount Holyoke, intensive coursework at Mount Holyoke, and then potentially some in-district training that they'll be able to do.
Great. That's great. Because I'm just thinking if teachers or building administrators are realizing that maybe teachers need more from those HMH reps, then they would be able to get that. Also, side note, maybe we can talk later. We have a very good HMH rep here. That is amazing.
I'll ask you maybe just to send me an email with that name.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have one
Any
more
other questions for Mike?
I have one more, and it might not be exactly for you. What for preschool, what does Lee offer again for preschool?
All eligible Lee residents, ages 3 and 4, are able to.
Like what does the school have right now? I just don't remember. Like two
Jen.
preschools. Sorry.
That's a Jen question.
I'm sorry.
We have one preschool right now. We use the House Head Start, but they moved out.
Okay.
We have a 3-year-old program that is from 8:30 to 11, 4 days a week.
Okay.
And then we have a 4-year-old program that is from 12:30 to 3, 5 days a week in the afternoon. And we build up to 4 days with the we started 2 days and built.
Cool, quick things for me. Cell phones in the schools, administrators, is that a problem? Do we have an issue with cell phones in both buildings?
I'll go first. I was the dean for 4 years prior to being principal. I will say 6 years ago when I got here, it was less of an issue. I think it's just more prolific now. I think we're seeing them, but I think their capabilities are. So yeah, I have definitely seen in our school an uptick. Hope to address that in terms of updating our policy this summer. Put it out there for the school committee. There's some updates.
Short answer at the middle high school is yes, it is a problem. We took a concerted effort as a faculty this spring to really enforce our existing rules on cell phone use in classrooms. It's basically our existing handbook. They're not to be seen or heard in classrooms unless there's a specific purpose that the teacher is doing. Then we have cell phone parking lots in the classrooms, places for them to deposit. And so since we've started that, I don't want to call it crackdown, but that more intense enforcement of our existing policies, we've seen a distinct improvement in the building. So our plans to continue that.
Is it impacting educational time? Cell phones?
Absolutely, there's no question. In many ways.
Understood. Great, thank you. I've been vocal in the past about small class sizes, but I also understand that we have to financially survive as well, right? I am concerned that we have a lot of current kindergartners that are being held back. And has larger class sizes contributed to anything? I know you answered, so there's a myriad of issues that the kindergartners are coming back for.
You mean the 3 classes we had this year that were larger size, did that contribute to the 5?
Correct.
It's my understanding that, no.
Okay.
I can't speak.
Great, thank you. And then for the middle and high school, there's a lot more of elective classes. Is any work being done to ensure that class sizes are worth the squeeze? You have the cost of the teacher. Are we sure that the cost of each class that's being presented to the student body is worth the money that we're putting into each teacher each year? I don't know if my question makes sense. I'm developing it on the fly.
No, I think that our goal is to do everything we can to make sure that students have as many choices as they can so that they can access education in the way that they want to.
Right.
Principal Briganti and I have had conversations about at what point do we pull the ripcord and say, well, we can't offer that. It's not fiscally responsible for us to do that.
Right.
The problem is because of the way that a high school schedule and a middle school schedule operate, you can't just eliminate a teacher and solve your class size problem.
Understood.
So it's a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul to make sure that kids can access various parts of their curriculum. But we are so small that if you plucked an English teacher out of the equation, a specialist out of the equation, the ripple effect of that is significant. Yeah.
Right. No, I definitely,
At the same time, we want to make sure that we are still providing comprehensive selection of courses, including at the higher end, and for those students who need extra support. So, you know, we try to balance that. We do have some very small classes. I think every school of our size has that issue. You know, I worry about those, you know, the enrollment, the class sizes that we see there. You know, we can withstand, you know, one at the high school level, that 38 that we're looking at for 10th grade next year. But if we're looking 7 years down the road, when grades 2, 3, and 4 are in the high school at the same time, that starts getting concerning, because then we really have to make choices about what class is going to continue to offer. Right. Right now, I think we're in a okay place with one very small class. It does worry me that if we get to a point where we have 2 or 3 small classes, particularly at the high school, how that will affect.
right, thank you. And then just one final thought. I went to graduation, and I sat way in the back row there. And the overwhelming thought that I had is that, you know, graduation of a high school class is the culmination of the entire district work. So everyone from pre-K, administration, facilities, all the way up to high school, has a big say in that. And I think that the school deserves a lot of credit for a quality graduation and a quality class.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all I have. I'm done.
Any other questions before we move on to principals and directors reports? All righty then. All right, Lee Elementary School with Tim Mertnook.
MCAS testing finished at the end of last month, and by all accounts, I think testing went really smoothly this year. Quarter 4 ended last Friday, and we're in the thick of end of the year events that are underway, including field day, faculty student volleyball game, community gathering, senior walkthrough for the class of 2023, and a myriad of field trips from Clark Art to Tyringham Cobble, Highland Farm, Berkshire Eagle, Lee Library, all over the place. And we also had our Rising Runners run this morning, and I just want to say thank you to the Lee PD and Massachusetts State Police for helping to help close down parts of the street for us to do that safely. Tomorrow was our 6th grade celebration for our outgoing 6th graders. Some of them have been in that building for almost 8 years, which is a pretty significant chunk of their life. So Lee Elementary is really all that they've known. You know, there's the normal anxiety for parents and students for coming down the hill. There's been a lot of great overlap between the middle and high school and elementary school to make sure that those students are ready for that week. And our last day of school, we have our annual Step Up Day where students spend time with next year's teachers, and there'll be a letter going home in backpacks, just, you know, saying tentatively, this is who your child's teacher is next year. And then summer work begins.
Any questions for Tim? All right, next up, Greg Briganti with Lee Middle and High School.
Just quickly, Tim's MCAS may have ended a month ago, but ours ended last week. With biology, so that's thankfully mailed off. We did, as several people have mentioned, we had graduation 2 Saturdays ago, 58 new alumni from LMHS. I thought it was a really nice ceremony. Congratulations to each and every one of the members of the class of 2023. Tomorrow was our 8th grade bridging ceremony at 9:30 as we bridge our 8th graders, middle school students into high school. That's at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Hope to see a lot of parents there as well as students. Summer school is beginning just like it is in Tim's building, I think, on June 26th and ending on July 21st. So school counselors will be contacting families this week and next week of students who probably should take summer school to do some credit recovery and get those credits done and be prepared to move on to the next year. We do have some summer work lined up for some of our faculty members, including a core group that's looking at writing and developing a step advisory curriculum. We put an advisory into place this year at LMHS, and I think it's been somewhat successful, but we see a need to really define that curriculum for the weekly meetings of our advisory group. So there's a group looking at that. Obviously, our middle school English teachers are delving into literature, new materials, and there's several other groups doing other things. But we are looking forward to another summer, and that's all I have for you.
Question. Can we, or do we take outside of Lee District students for summer school?
Years ago, we did. We have not done that in a number of years because we do not charge for our summer schools. You know, if we were to do that, we would have to figure out, first off, we want to make sure that we're room.
Right.
In the classes. And so I think we would have to figure out some way and what some sort of tuition plan.
And that doesn't fall under the school choice type.
I have a different answer.
Okay. Cool.
So because we do have proportionate share funding through federal funds,
Mhm.
we do service students that are at St. Mary's, whether they live in Lee or not. If they attend at St. Mary's, we do have some obligations, and we are servicing several students through that funding.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions for Greg? All right, next up, Jen Norton with special education.
So we, kind of piggyback on what Mr. Martin was talking about with the summer programming. We have, 51 students, who are receiving some sort of special education, programming over the summer. There's 38 at the, elementary school and 13 at this building. Some of them are here, some of them are in adult programming, some of them are at camp, so they're kind of all of them helping, but there's also some other just private contracting services that we do through the proportionate share funding. So we're servicing probably about 60 kids, which is amazing on top of all of the other programs that we have in this summer. We are fully staffed for the summer, which is amazing. We are posting, there's a lot of postings, so I would encourage people to look at those postings. We do have a couple of professional as well as professional staff, teachers or related service providers openings for next year. So please take a look at those, pass them on to your friends. And we're jumping right into doing circuit breaker and looking at funding for next year. And that's kind of the plan that we have that all done by mid-July. So we'll have an idea of what we're planning for that funding fairly soon.
Does anybody have any questions for Jen?
We did have one other thing about preschool, actually. So the preschool 3-year-old program right now for next year, we are doing registrations currently. We're calling families and sending those out. And right now we have one family on the waiting list, but please feel free to contact us because that changes all the time. And I do have 2 open slots in my 4-year-old program. So there's only 3 or 4 right now.
No, I feel like I don't know what I can ask questions. or anything.
Go ahead.
Has there ever been a thought to making preschool full day? I'm just thinking about like getting people when they're young and investing in the school when they're younger. And I know it's only the residents that could probably go to preschool because it's integrated and such. But and you have to do half and half, but I'm just
We
curious.
talked about it and we looked at some grants that were available 4 or 5 years ago. The problem is even though we're full day, we're not the working day, which is what families need. And we wouldn't have been able, we weren't a big enough district to qualify for that funding in those grants. It's something that's always on the table that we're willing to explore with families and administration and school committee members. It's been on the table a few times. And I'm always willing to look at that and see if it's workable.
Any other questions? All right, last but not least, Jordan Meyer with facilities.
Good evening. Give me a cold allergy, not sure. So the custodial teams, and facilities teams are all good still for the turning of the schools over summer. We have paid all the materials and equipment. We are also fully staffed as well. Property data consumption and subscriptions have been figured out and solidified for the school year. Cintas, our primary provider of custodial materials. It kind of works the same way as the paper does, and it's been kind of structured to where our services would be more in alignment with the school year, of offering us kind of a break in summer to just get books in order and things. So those two particular things, the team has been working on and streamlining and being more cost efficient with, and we're getting to the other side. LYAs to Occupy LES, as usual for summer operations, and they've received their certificate of fire inspection. Myself and Mr. Coons and Mr. Planky have done some joint safety training through Maya and OSHA with the town. That offers rewards back to the town. These trainings are fantastic. They're of OSHA standard, which we are not technically held to, but those training programs are by far the largest, the best ones out there. So I'm kind of mostly holding my guys to those standards, not just directly holding them. The LES elevator has received its certification, but is still slated for mandatory corrections to the stop switch, which is an ongoing saga. The state and Otis are working on it. We're good for another year, but the cost of the correction is estimated to be about $100 if we need the correction. But they're not sure. The food service director was able to secure grant funding for appliances, ovens, and refrigerators. Those have been received and installed. They look great, they're operational. It's a good upgrade. Inspections for occupancy certification are underway. Generators for service on June 6th. Backflow testing is scheduled for 20th. Alarms June 21st. Hood the 6th of July, etc. The gym floors down here at LMHS are to begin on the 17th for a complete redo. I feel that they were just kind of burned with material. The companies we utilize are stepping up and resolving all of this at no cost. The superintendent's approach for the sidewalks, kind of the same story. Good contractor, got bad materials. The rest of the job is good. That job is not. That job is coming out this summer, I think, toward the beginning of July, and that will be. Let's see that. LES will be receiving all the new upgrades to the overhead safety systems, to the hoops in the gym. Those 5 of the 6 were old and not functional. So the superintendent invest in upgrades for the safety of overheads. The grounds look amazing. I know we haven't had rain, but Coons and Blanky done a great job of it. LES playgrounds, the Maple Street fields are fantastic. There were some baseball games the other day, and Mr. Blanky had those kind of wavy patterns in the field. Fantastic. Flowers up at LES in the front. They look great. The Jen Knapp was instrumental in getting us those, and I think they're fantastic. Aside from that, the only thing that's pressing on my plate is vehicles. Which we
Any questions for Jordan?
pardon me.
All
I think
right.
you cut out there, Dr. Larman, at the end of whatever you just said.
How come I keep going from Ms. Larman to Dr. Larman, Mike?
It just depends on the moment.
Okay. Wondering, I just said, does anybody have any questions for Jordan? All right. Next up, we have committee reports. Do we have some warrants we need to approve?
We do.
All right. Fling them up there, Mike.
There we go. All right, very quick before the warrants, just a thank you to TMS for the work that they've done this year. Eric Jesner will begin on July 1st. He was actually in district yesterday morning and will be back in district tomorrow morning to work with the team at TMS to make sure he understands how they've set things up for him. I feel like we are well positioned for him to hit the ground running on July 1. And Eric will be joining me at the GEMS training at the DCU Center in Worcester on June 26th. For those of you who know, GEMS was going to replace Ed Grants, and it is, they haven't made it easier. I'll just leave it at that and leave it to Desi to not simplify. But regardless, we'll make our way through it. Here you go, accounts payable. Again, without a finance subcommittee chair, if you want, I'll just take this over. We're looking at an accounts payable in the amount of $533,348.82. As is pretty typical, the majority of that spending is around transportation, special education, and utilities. So Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative, Dufour, Eversource, HMH, and Adventum, Focus, IXL, those are all common players and our highest three in each of those payables. So again, I'd be looking for a motion to approve AP in the amount of $533,348.82.
I move to accept the accounts payable warrant for $533,348.82.
Do we have
Second,
a second?
Kirk
I
seconded.
second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
Motion carries. This one is a little harder to swallow, but it is all in line with our budgetary plans. This is payroll in the amount of $1,906,005.53. You'll notice that this last payroll that went out last Thursday was $1.246 million. And that's because of lump sum payments that go to staff members for the summer, as well as stipends that are owed to staff. I can tell the committee with every assurity that this is aligned with payroll expectations for fiscal year 23.
Can I have a motion for the payroll, please?
I motion that we accept the payroll for $1,906,005.53.
I second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can you roll call us, please?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Ms. Larmen?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Abstain.
And Ms. Strickler?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, next up is old business, and we've got none. So next we move on to new business. And all right, we have a memorandum of understanding that Mike is going to explain.
So you've got two MOUs in front of you. One is for an SLP and an OT to join Unit A, or PT, I'm sorry, I apologize. OT and PT to join Unit A, and a COTA to join Unit C. We worked with Attorney Dupre as well as the LEA to make sure that those were aligned. We did budget for this transition. As you know, Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative is no longer providing said services. So we had to do what we could to keep those service providers for us. So Jamie, Sandy, and Deb are willing to join with Unit A's and C respectively. And I believe that those MOUs satisfy our needs and accommodate their wages appropriately.
I will entertain a motion to accept the memorandum of understanding.
I move to accept the memorandum of understanding.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Brenda, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Larmen,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Ms. Strickler.
Yes.
All right, next item on our agenda is acquisition of a F-550 and passenger van.
So you know that when we built the budget for FY '24, we put in $16,000 a year with the expectation over the next 6 years to pay for that F-550 the town would finance on our behalf. We are at a point in FY '23 where I feel very good about where we are financially and that we won't need to access sped reserve. That was $125,000, and we will have remaining school choice funds. We'll also tell the committee that our school choice account is healthy, very healthy. In fact, I would suggest that it's in this committee's best interest to spend down some of that money to make purchases such as those two things that I'm suggesting to you tonight. So the first is that F-550, that's to replace the failed multi-purpose pickup truck that we lost last year. The town was able to help us by lending us a vehicle to get us through the winter. That's not going to happen again. We do need to acquire this, and I would suggest that we appropriate school choice funds to buy that vehicle outright for approximately, I don't have the amount in front of me, but it's approximately $105,000 for that truck, which would be turnkey. It would include all the accessories that would be necessary. I provided you with a quote from MHQ, which is on the state bid list, that would suffice for us. The second piece, and I'll just address both of them and we can go back to questions, is for an additional passenger van. As you know, we have an appropriation of monies to assist with the cost of transportation if we have students going out to vocational placements. We've been fortunate for the last couple of years that we've been able to use that money in other ways. Next year, we're sending at least 2, potentially 3 students to Taconic. So there will be a cost for transportation to get those students there. The passenger van that we currently have brings a student to Gateway on a daily basis, so they can't do both runs. So we would have to contract with Dufour at about $450 a day times 180 days, brings us about $81,000 a year. So if we acquired an additional vehicle, we could make sure that we've got somebody who's 7D licensed to drive that vehicle. We could propose to Lennox, possibly cost share if they have any students also going to Taconic. But the reality is after a year, that van would pay for itself. And we know that if those students stay at Taconic for the next 4 years, that van will more than serve the cost that would be invested in it. We know that the lead time on both these vehicles could be a couple of months. So again, I would suggest to the committee, we are in a good financial position, and I would suggest that you move to appropriate the funding for both these vehicles from our school choice account.
I make a motion to approve both vehicles under school choice fund.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just 2 quick things. 403-041 is the email we got from the other day or a couple weeks ago, or whatever it was. I don't know what day it is today. So if we were to finance this vehicle, we'd be charged interest.
There would be interest charges,
So we're
yes,
saving money by buying it outright.
correct.
Okay, great. And then if we have a driver, we're looking at about $10,000 a year in, hourly rate to drive that van. So if we're at 81,000, that's an upfront cost to buy the vehicle plus an extra $10,000 or whatever in to drive the people, the students to the school. But then from years on, we're looking at $10,000 a year.
Correct.
So we're saving massive amounts of money by not going with Dufour.
That's correct.
We're saving money.
Yes.
Plus,
It's,
we
it-
also-
it is a, Right.
Saving money.
Plus, we'd have the van available to us to use for other things like quiz team, TV team. Any of those short, those small transportation, things that we could use it for.
That's right.
Saving money.
Save money.
I do like the idea if there is opportunity for shared resources with Max, so I would encourage that phone call.
Absolutely.
Other discussion? Questions, thoughts? Brenda, can you take a roll call?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
And Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next thing on our agenda is future business, and our next school committee meeting is July 11th. Now, I know you're all clamping at the bit to leave. However, here's the thing. July always gets a little persnickety because Jen and I travel during July to the Western Mass Sped Directors meeting. The third week in July, I think it is. And Mike travels the week before that to the superintendent's meet conference. And so it always gets a little bit crazy trying to get us all together. So I know it says it on here that it's going to be the 11th, but I'm going to send out an email to all of our members, Craig included, after I contact him, to see if we can find a mutual date that works for all of us, that we can potentially maybe meet another day so that we can all be there, especially since we're a brand new committee and we don't want to like throw Heidi to the wolves and Craig to the wolves. And so we can all meet at the same time. So is that amenable to everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I know it says on here that it's going to be the 11th, but it probably isn't going to be the 11th because Mike is going to be on the Cape. And we need him to be here because it's also Eric's first meeting and we aren't going to throw him to the wolves either. Okay? Make sense, everybody?
Sounds good.
TBD.
All right.
Andrew, can I really quickly before you seek a motion
No.
to adjourn?
No.
I went from Ms. Larman to Dr. Larman to Andrea. So the July meeting is generally a very low key meeting. Just I want to make sure that our new committee member knows that as well. It'll be budget transfers between DAX and and then reorganization of subcommittee assignments. I will send out to everybody the list of subcommittee assignments through Dr. Andrea, Ms. Larman. Yeah, so we'll get that out to people. So you have a hopefully a quick description of each subcommittee, and then we can place people as appropriate.
That'll give you time to figure out what committees you want to be on. I would hope that we need more than just Kirk and I on the finance committee. I'm just putting that out there because Kirk can't vote. Okay. All right. Next on our agenda is adjournment. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Brenda, can you roll call us out?
Mr. Robin?
Yes.
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Larman?
Yes,
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
And Ms. Strickler?
Yes.
we are adjourned at 7:55.